This is my rock. Standing by. Gregor, that's your rock.
Hey, how are you?
Is that right? So that's right. That's the mayor.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Salma Zahid, and as the local member of parliament, it is really my pleasure to welcome you all today to Scarborough Centre, Don Valley East. It's great to have Prime Minister Carney, Mayor Chow, Minister of Housing and Infrastructure Robertson, and many federal and municipal colleagues here today. We are here working together because it takes a team to build housing. And if there is one thing we all hear from our constituents, it is this. There is nothing more important than having an affordable place to call home so your family can grow and thrive and succeed. Behind us is a great example of federally supported transit-adjacent co-op housing with shovels in the ground. And there's a lot more to come. With that, I would really like to welcome Minister Gregor Robertson, our Minister of Housing and Infrastructure, to tell us more for today's announcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Selma. Hi, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Thank you to Selma for getting us started here on your home turf. Great to be here today in the sunshine of Toronto with Prime Minister, Mayor Chow. All of our colleagues here from Toronto Caucus and Council, thank you for joining us. Special thanks to our Parliamentary Secretary for Housing, Infrastructure and Communities, Jen McKelvey, former Deputy Mayor. We've got a few of our ex-mayor and deputy mayors stepping up into this important time for us. Merci aussi à tous les organismes communautaires et à nos partenaires qui sont ici aujourd'hui. Since becoming minister, I've spent a lot of time on the road, meeting with mayors, with premiers, indigenous leaders, community housing providers, builders and workers, like many of you here, all across Canada, whether it was on construction sites in BC or it was at the council tables in the Maritimes or here on affordable housing projects in Toronto. There's one thing I hear consistently: Canadians are ready to build. Cities have projects, our community builders, nonprofits have plans, our builders are prepared to get shovels in the ground. They're asking us to work together, to move faster, and to help them get those homes built. And those conversations have certainly reinforced something that I learned for a decade in my time as Mayor of Vancouver. We make real progress on housing when every order of government pulls in the same direction. And that's exactly what we're doing now to tackle the housing crisis. Across Canada, Build Canada Homes is bringing partners together, unlocking projects, helping communities turn plans into homes. And I also understand the pressure that cities are under, cities like Toronto and across Ontario in particular. I've sat in the council meetings where we knew every project mattered because it meant many more people could finally find a place that they could afford. C'est pour cette raison que Maison Canada a été créée pour bâtir plus de logements plus rapidement dans les collectivités où les besoins sont les plus grands, where the need is greatest. And Toronto, we're seeing that partnership in action today. This is amazing news. And it's building off of a lot of successful work to date. We've invested in Indigenous housing on Merton Road, affordable homes in Regent Park, co-op housing in Dunelm, and help support very significant rental housing projects across the city, thanks to Colleen and the CMHC team on rental. Today's announcement is a reflection of the kind of country that we are building, and that's one that invests in affordable housing alongside the new rental supply. It's one that embraces sustainability and climate resilience, modern methods of construction, and Canadian innovation and materials. And our Canadians expect our governments to work together to solve these big challenges. To tell us more detail about this important work, it's my honor to welcome our Prime Minister Mark Carney. Merci.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gregor. Thank you, Selma, for welcoming us here. Thanks to my parliamentary colleagues. Thanks to members of City Council, all of you. And I'll just say one thing at the start. You're going to hear a lot about different levels of government working together. And one of the blessings I have in this role is that I have colleagues who've worked at I'm looking for Dolly. There you are. Yes, who worked at the provincial level, in the city, at the city level here in Toronto, city level in Vancouver, city level across, and that helps bring energy, insight, and a sense of purpose to what we're doing. I want to thank Mayor Chow for being here today alongside Anna Balau, our CEO of Build Canada Homes, Colleen Volk from CMHC, and my colleagues. But the mayor is here, and right from the beginning, right from the start when I got in this role, and I knew the mayor a bit from before, but right from the beginning, we agreed that Toronto grows stronger, Canada grows stronger when we work together, when our governments work together, and particularly when we build together. And I know the mayor would also agree that Toronto is one of the world's greatest cities. I think she dropped the qualifier. Greatest cities. Fair enough. Yeah. I've got it. Prime Minister of Canada. I've got to be more equal, but greatness is earned, but greatness is also a magnet. And for generations, people have come from every single corner of the earth to build a new life here in Toronto. And as a consequence, Toronto is one of the fastest growing cities in North America. And that growth comes with, of course, greater demand for social services and greater demand for housing. And for decades, the simple fact is Toronto didn't build enough housing, and too much of what was built was unaffordable for most Torontonians. Prices driven up by development charges, by taxes, by rising construction costs, and a lack of availability of land. And the best way to meet the challenge that has created is to build more supply and to build it faster. To build better with new methods and modern materials, and above all, building in partnership. Building, yes, with the private sector, but also with non-profits and across every order of government. And crucial to this is to build a healthy rental market for every kind of renter. And that means, from the federal perspective, it means pulling every lever that we have and using every tool at our disposal. So before I go into more detail in today's announcement, let me just say a few words about what we've been doing to build momentum in affordable housing over the last 17 months. Just last September, less than a year ago, we started and launched Build Canada Homes, a new federal entity charged with supercharging housing construction across Canada. Et depuis son lancement, Maison Canada s'est déjà engagée à construire près de 17 000 logements dans le cadre de 17 partenariats à travers le pays, et plus de 1 900 sont déjà en chantier. Nous travaillons en partenariat en alignant notre financement sur le terrain et l'expertise locale de la ville pour livrer des logements rapidement et à grande échelle. I would now like to inform you that the teleprompter has ceased to function. Unlike a certain world leader, I do not view this as a conspiracy. Au cours des 17 derniers mois, nous avons réalisé deux grands projets. Le prix moyen d'une habitation, c'est à travers du Canada, une habitation a diminué, passant plus de 825 000 $ au début de 2022 à moins de 660 000 $ aujourd'hui. C'est une chute de 20%. La part de revenus que les Canadiens consacrent au remboursement de leurs prêts hypothécaires a atteint son niveau le plus bas depuis près de 4 ans. Et le rapport entre le loyer demandé et le revenu est à son plus bas niveau depuis plus de 2 ans. So there's big progress now being made directionally on affordability. We need to do much more to get things where they need to be. That brings us right here. What was a parking lot, 2444 Eglinton, is now, as you see, a construction site for Kennedy Green, the largest affordable housing development in this province in more than a quarter century. And Kennedy Green's backed by $289 million in financing from the Canadian government, but it's happening not just because of the money, but because we're building together. And that's what partnerships can do. Just 4 months ago, Mayor Chow and I stood with Premier Ford to announce a new partnership between the federal government and the government of Ontario, one that's cutting taxes and fees on new homes in this province that can mean up to a reduction of $200,000. In June, through that partnership, the City of Toronto secured $1.5 billion to cut residential development charges by 40 to 60%. And that partnership is also building the transit that neighborhoods need to cut commute times, to connect people to their jobs, their schools, and their homes. New transit that includes the new Waterfront East Line that will serve more than 150,000 people and in and of itself enable 75,000 new homes. That includes expanded all-day GO service across Greater Golden Horseshoe and rapid transit that reaches deeper into the city than ever before, from the Ontario line to, you guessed it, the Scarborough subway extension. Partout au pays, avec nos partenaires, nous travaillons avec nos partenaires pour bâtir des communautés fortes. Des partenariats qui nous permettent de lutter contre la crise de logement sur tous les angles. Nous renforçons la manière dont ce pays bâtit, afin qu'un logement et la belle vie qu'il offre soient à la portée de chaque Canadien et Canadienne. So, to today, I'm proud to announce a new housing agreement between the Government of Canada and the City of Ontario. Or, sorry, the City of Ontario. It's a takeover. I don't know, I've got Ford on my mind, you've got the City of Toronto. Government of Canada, City in Toronto. Let's put this in context. Over the next 3 years, the Government of Canada will invest $2.7 billion. And by the way, that $2.7 billion, that's distinct from what I talked about earlier, that $1.5 billion. We will invest $2.7 billion to build more than 18 housing projects across this city. We're starting by creating more than 5,600 new rental homes that a broad range of Torontonians can afford. North of 1,800 of those homes will be deeply affordable, supportive, or rent controlled. Thank you. And we're moving fast. You see the shovels behind me. We will have shovels in the ground on 80%, 80% of this portfolio. That means more than 4,500 homes by the end of this year. Yeah. As I suggested at the start, every home in this portfolio will be a rental. And they span together the entire continuum of rental housing, from supportive to affordable homes. And it's a partnership that builds on every component of a healthy housing ecosystem. So what does that mean for Torontonians? It means at Scarborough, at 158 Borough Drive, hundreds of families, seniors, and essential workers will have a home in the heart of the community on the rise, beside the Civic Center and the Town Center and the new Scarborough Center Station. That's right, coming to you. It means that the Parkdale Hub, in the West End, a new 16-story complex will move forward, finally, creating more affordable places to live in one of the neighborhoods that has been hardest hit by rising rents and rising evictions. Those are just two of the examples of the 18 projects we're announcing today. 18 communities across this city, tens of thousands of new places for Torontonians to call home. And we're executing this, we're building through two channels. First, and crucially, is non-market, non-profit housing delivered through Build Canada Homes. And thank you, Anna Bilal, for your leadership there. Specifically, the federal government is investing more than $310 million to advance 9 projects on city-owned land, nearly 1,900 homes, more than 700 in the strict definition of affordable housing. That means that rent will cost less than 30% of a household's pre-tax income. All of these projects had been approved in the past. All of these projects were ready to build, many of them for a long period of time. All of them were stalled for want of financing. until today, Canadian government putting up the capital to get them built, and the City of Toronto contributing one of the most valuable resources a city can offer to improve a project's affordability, which is public land at value. So thank you. And on top of that, the City of Toronto providing more than $530 million in capital and incentives, including a 99-year exemption from municipal and school property taxes. The second channel that we're building on is market rate housing, homes built by the private sector and backed by attractive financing. And this is where the CMHC's apartment construction loan program comes in. The federal government, through that facility, is providing more than $1.8 billion in low-cost financing for 9 projects. They will create 3,700 new homes, of which 1,000 will be affordable. That includes new rental homes near Corktown on Ontario Street and the redevelopment of the former downtown coach terminal just steps from City Hall. I've been there. I went to that coach terminal. We're going further still, with up to $600 million in additional financing capacity. So that's additional capacity that's available out of that overall amount, so that the City of Toronto can move forward as soon as other opportunities become ready. So what we're announcing today is a big component of what the type of housing and the scale of housing that Toronto needs. Not luxury condos, but homes that people can afford, places that they can build their lives in, places near the subway, schools, grocery stores, for working families, for students, seniors. Now, as Gregor mentioned a moment ago, we know it's not just about what we build, as important as housing in, but it's also how we build it. So we're building inclusively. At 15 Denison Avenue, one of the projects, we're building a 100-unit Indigenous-led supportive housing development. We're building in solidarity with union workers. The portfolio alone will support over 2,100 jobs every year during construction. And we're building sustainably. You take the project on Dundas Street West, where there was a parking lot. We're building a state-of-the-art housing development with mass timber construction, geothermal energy, low-carbon design strategies. Above all, we're building Canadian, with Canadian steel, Canadian lumber, Canadian workers. Now, I'm warming up to hand over to the mayor, so I'm going to go back to Toronto's greatness. Think of what drives that greatness: a food scene like nowhere else, research hospitals that lead the world, a tech industry that rivals any other on the planet, thriving music, film, entertainment industry. But the fundamental greatness of Toronto comes from its people. And the fact is that too many Torontonians have been struggling to afford their rent. Today's announcement is a big part of changing that. By building at scale across the entire rental continuum, we're making Toronto a model. Strong communities, safe communities, communities that people can afford. Les Canadiens et Canadiennes ont confié à notre nouveau gouvernement le mandat de bâtir un Canada plus fort, un pays où chacun a plus d'occasions d'aller de l'avant avec des communautés plus sûres et des logements abordables. We're building Scarborough strong, Toronto strong, and Canada strong for everyone. And we're just getting started. And with that, I would like to introduce Her Worship, the Mayor of Toronto, Olivia Chow.
Thank you, Prime Minister Carney. I'm excited, are you? Yeah, we are happy. Thanks to the multi-billion-dollar announcement we're making today, the homes we are building will give security to tens of thousands of people. Today we're making and we're taking a strong step forward to fulfill a basic promise. If you work here, you should be able to afford to live here. Thank you, Prime Minister, for your commitment to the people of Toronto. Thank you. Thank you, Minister Robertson, Build Canada Home CEO Anna Bilal. You have always been a true champion of Toronto. CMHC CEO Colleen Volk over there. Yes, we're joined by Deputy Mayor Osman Malik. Amber Molly? Yes, okay. Local Councillor Michael Thompson. And many of the colleagues, and Councillor Chris Moyse, and many of the, well, actually, it's the entire, probably, 416 Liberal caucus. All of the Liberal Member of Parliament right here. Thank you. It's it takes all of us coming together to build housing. And there are city staff, our city manager, our agencies, the Toronto Community Housing Authority, the agencies, partners, we're all here working together to get housing built. Let me tell you a story about Rona. Rona is a professional landscaper. She spent her talents and her skill creating beauty in people's homes. But for years after a bad breakup, she didn't have a secure home of her own. Very depressed. When I met her, she had just moved into a new affordable home in a low-rise building that the Toronto City helped deliver. She was rebuilding her life. I walked into her rooftop. She transformed her building rooftop with plants, flowers, and vegetables. It was just magnificently beautiful. An oasis she built with her neighbors, teaching them to garden alongside her. They shared the harvest, the best tasting tomatoes and herbs in the building, in the entire neighborhood, and built a community along with it. An affordable home gave her hope and transformed her life. Right now, too many families in Scarborough and across Toronto face an impossible choice. Do they stay close to the kids' school or move further away to find something they can afford? Plan for the future or just trying to survive at this moment. And no family should have to choose. Not in a city that prides itself on compassion. 3 years ago, when I became mayor, there wasn't much affordable housing being built. I set out, together with the city staff, a plan to build 65,000 homes for the people of Toronto. The city examined every public site and put it aside for housing, those that are appropriate. We created new incentives, streamlined red tape, sped up the approvals, and changed the zoning to allow for more of the housing we need. But the nonprofit sector has no funds to build homes people can afford. So the federal government stepped in with their Housing Accelerator funds, and groups like the Cooperative Housing Federation of Canada dared to dream again. Because for 3 decades they weren't able to build anything. And where we are standing today is an example of the progress we made together. This is called Kennedy Green, Canada's largest cooperative housing in a generation. Yes, cooperatives are back. This used to be a city-owned parking lot. In 69 days, we rezoned it for housing. That's turbo speed in record time. Not 68, 69 days, yeah. This will become 612 new rent geared to income, affordable and cooperative homes. The largest purpose-built nonprofit rental co-op in the country. Stable, long-term homes for people who keep this city going. And still the housing market remains tight. We all know that. So when the Prime Minister and the new government was elected, we met in Ottawa. We talked about the need to build more homes and the urgency to get shovels in the ground immediately. The Prime Minister promised strong action. And a couple of months ago, partnering with the provincial government, he delivered, lowering the cost of building homes by helping the city build our infrastructure. The city can now lower development charges by up to 60%. And 100% exemption, no development charges, no fees at all for projects that include affordable housing. Yes, that is important. And today, the Prime Minister is delivering the second strong action. Today, I can tell you, if your rent is too high, if you're looking for more spaces to raise a family, if you've been waiting for affordable housing for years, it's coming. Here in Scarborough and across Toronto. We have thousands of shovels in the ground, cranes in the sky across the city. We will build homes people can actually afford. And for the first time in a long time, rent is going down. Yes, it is, because of our collective effort. We are making this progress through our strong partnership. Today's announcement means 5,500 new homes will be built. Through both funding and low-cost financing, we're making more projects viable in these tough economic times. And we aren't waiting for years. You heard the Prime Minister said, shovels hit the ground this year. And that's worthy of celebration because we need the jobs, we need the housing right now. We're moving with urgency because people running out of rent money at the end of the month cannot wait. Couples delaying having children because of high housing costs cannot wait either. Right now, our non-market housing sector makes up 3.5% of the housing system and is only half the size of those of our OECD peers. Prime Minister, your groundbreaking task force report you penned in March 2024 with Lisa Raitt said 4 out of 10 homes built needs to be non-market affordable homes. And we certainly have our work cut out for us. But I know we're building Canada strong. We will keep building. And for Rona and for so many families like her, and affordable homes meant peace of mind, security, a stable foundation to build from, hope for the future. Prime Minister Carney, Minister Robertson, and Bailao, thank you so very, very much.
All right, when the GO train passes, we will now begin our press conference. Please state your outlet and your name. Alors, on va commencer notre conférence de presse. S'il vous plaît, dites votre nom et votre média. Vas-y. Okay, vas-y.
Should I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Prime Minister Mal Hamid with the Canadian Press. Good afternoon. The U.S. is trying to dismantle the International Criminal Court, and Washington wants to allies to withdraw membership and funding. Are you doing anything to defend the ICC? And why haven't you spoken up for the Canadian judge under American sanctions?
Well, first, Canada is a proud member of the International Criminal Court. We support it with funding, we support it with personnel, we support it with our values, we support it with our actions. And we will continue to do so. It provides an essential service in a world that is more dangerous, more divided. In fact, in many respects, its responsibilities are ever greater. You know, I think you can see the attachment to which the government places to these values and the rule of law and the importance of rule of law in the appointments that we have been making.
And the Canadian judge?
And the judge will provide support as needed, and we work with our American colleagues on a variety of issues to work to achieve results. But our support for the ICC is unequivocal. Thank you.
All right, next question.
Hi, Prime Minister. Rob Benzie from the Toronto Star. I just want to ask about Billy Bishop Airport. You had been signaling, I think the last time you were with the mayor and Premier Ford, you had interest in that project. You called it an interesting project. You've kind of changed your view. I don't know.
Interesting is
Well, that's what you said. I'm
I
just
know, but
quoting you.
interesting has a quite wide range of meanings.
Chinese curse, I know. Interesting times. But no, I wanted to ask you though. You've changed your tune, or at least you've changed the policy so that you're not going to expand Billy Bishop Airport. Does that mean categorically that there will never be commuter jets there?
So a couple of things. One, look, we have a series of challenges. We all do. In Canada and Toronto, and part of those challenges come from success. Part of those challenges come from, I'm going to refer back to my remarks, Toronto's greatness. One of the core is building enough affordable housing and building it now, and this is what today is very much about. Another form of that challenge is transportation. Transportation getting in and out of the city. You see a series of announcements that have been made. In fact, Premier Ford and I will be highlighting the Ontario line later today and the progress that's being made there. But it also, of course, includes air and other forms of transportation, people coming to the GTA more broadly from elsewhere in the province, elsewhere in Canada, elsewhere from around the world. And what we need is, and what we're developing at the federal level, is a comprehensive approach that addresses all forms of transport. The scale of what could be required over the course of the next quarter century. That includes Pearson, that includes regional airports, that includes Alto, high-speed rail, that includes the GO network, which we just witnessed, and a series of investments in cooperation with all levels of government. Billy Bishop is part of a much bigger picture, and so while possible, well, the muted ideas for Billy Bishop are interesting. Were interesting in a broader context. We did not have a policy. So I'm going to take issue with your premise of your question. We did not have a policy. What we had was an idea that was proposed, and then we did what government should do, which is to consult. And we consulted the people of Toronto. It was a very clear result of that consultation. And we took the view, as we stand by, that our investment in Billy Bishop will be for safety reasons, and then set out very clear criteria around noise, around protection of nature, around pristine heritage spots, and others that have to take into account. So the fundamental point, to finish where I started, which is that question, that issue, is part of a much bigger set of issues, and it's on us to be addressing the much bigger set of issues. We have elements of those solutions, but we will be providing more in due course.
But if I may, Prime Minister, you didn't answer whether it means there will be no commuter jets at Billy Bishop ever.
Well, that's what I mean, ever is a long time. I mean, forever is a long time. So but look, there is clear criteria on noise, clear criteria on protecting the environment and pristine spots, clear criteria on housing, and as I just said, maybe at some length, but let's make it clear, it's a small part of a much bigger puzzle, and we need to focus on those other puzzle pieces in the context of serving the people of the GTA, people of Ontario, people of Canada, and the people who want to come to Canada.
Next question. Prochaine question.
Hi, Prime Minister. Barbara with iPolitics. Did you ever get to the point of telling Premier Doug Ford that he would move forward with the Billy Bishop's expansion?
No.
And do you think that the fact that some Ontario MPPs are raising concerns about the Alto high-speed rail project right now is some sort of retaliation?
Look, I'll just refer to my previous answer. There is a bigger set of issues that are the product of success of Toronto, success of Ontario, success of Canada, which is that there is a demand for more and more. And we can see, you can never predict exactly with certainty, but we can see that those demands will continue to increase for transportation. So we need a comprehensive, a holistic solution to air those in public and the components of those solutions. That's what the government's doing. An expansion of Pearson is part of that. Alto is part of that. I think greater use of regional. Billy Bishop is not a regional airports could be part of that. The investments we're making in GO Train is part of that as well. So we look at it in the round.
All right. Next question. Prochaine question.
Appreciate it. Hello, Prime Minister. Nathaniel Dove from Global News. I have a non-Billy Bishop question for you.
Congratulations.
The British Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, said that FIFA President Gianni Infantino is the wrong person to lead football. He spent a lot of time with Mr. Infantino recently at the World Cup, Do you think he should lead FIFA? And if not, who else would you support? Victor Montagliani, Canadian FIFA Vice President.
Okay. Well, the first thing is that I want to pay tribute. I'm going to answer your question, but I want to take the opportunity to pay tribute to the mayor, pay tribute to the premier, pay tribute to the first responders, all the volunteers who made the World Cup here such a success. It was absolute knockout success in Toronto. And again, the best of Toronto, and hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, and hundreds of millions of people would have witnessed it on TV, a bunch witnessed it in person, and they bring back nothing but great stories about the people in this great city. So that's the first thing. The second thing, look, I've run a few organizations in my time. The idea that proper governance is not to disclose to your closest advisors, your chief operating officer, your fellow board members, something of consequence that you're even considering, let alone proposing, that's fatal, should be fatal, and you lose confidence in that individual. They have their own procedures for making those determinations, but certainly I don't have confidence in Mr. Infantino after this point. Given what transpired, and given the nature of what transpired. Look, I'll give you an example. Carlos Cordero is someone I've known for more than 3 decades, very high integrity individual, and he was his advisor and had expertise in all the aspects of what was proposed, and he was not consulted. This is not how you run any business, a small business, let alone something that is a global responsibility like football.
And sorry, my last part of my question,
Victor,
would you support...
well, he's an exceptional individual. He's a credit to Canada, credit to football. He's done a very good job in his role at CONCACAF. But this, again, I'll defer to governance. I mean, there are those who make these decisions, and they're not prime ministers. But he's someone I know well and have tremendous respect for.
Next
and
question.
loves the game. Loves the game.
Hello, Mr. Prime Minister. Jeff Knight with Western Standard. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has called for concrete reforms to the equalization formula, including ending the GDP growth escalator. You've said before the formula will be reviewed before the 2029 renewal, but have you actually supported any specific changes, or is it your position simply to support the status quo until then?
Well, we're not going to, I mean, we have an equalization agreement in place. Governments rely on those formula in setting their policies, and so that predictability and that financing is valuable. And yes, we're going to keep it in place. The review is for 2029 is the next update. But let me bring it back down to where we are today, which is fundamental principles in Canada, and a fundamental principle that drives this country. Many Canadians in their personal lives, but also in government, is that Canadians should have access to comparable services, all Canadians. Health care services, education, we all have access to the same education. Part of where the challenge comes in and what we're tackling today is access to housing, as the mayor said a moment ago. The ability to live near to where you work, to not have to move if you're having a child or your child's in school and you have another child and have that move. So that's not the level of equalization, but it's the responsibility to use all our levers, and that's what we're seeing here in an aspect of the housing market, so that Canadians, all Canadians, have that opportunity.
All right, prochaine question. Next question.
Bonjour, Catherine Moras de Radio-Canada. Mes questions portent sur les négociations commerciales avec les Américains. On est à 14 jours de nouveaux tarifs et les négociations ne semblent pas vraiment faire de progrès concrets. À quel moment, à votre avis, on doit changer de stratégie et durcir le ton?
Voilà, le ton est assez dur. On va faire tout ce qui serait nécessaire dans la possibilité, s'il n'y a pas un accord, le 19 août. Mais on verra. Il y a des négociations qui sont en train. M. Leblanc est là, notre négociatrice en chef, Mme Charette, était là maintenant, les deux à Washington. J'ai eu des conversations avec les Américains moi-même. Alors, mais c'est une négociation et ce n'est pas le moment de changer. On a du temps, on fait on a des vraies négociations, des négociations constructives sur plusieurs enjeux. Mais le temps de durcir, ce sera s'il y a le moment sans un accord avec les Américains.
Puis, est-ce qu'un système de quotas sur les exportations d'aluminium et d'acier est envisagé pour réduire les tarifs?
Il y a le Canada, nous croyons dans le libre-échange et de respecter nos engagements. Cela dit, avec des menaces tarifaires, nous avons des options. Ce n'est pas le moment, je viens de le dire, ce n'est pas le moment de déclencher les options, mais on a des options, oui.
Prochaine question.
Merci.
Next question.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi, Prime Minister. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. On the trade front, we understand that there have been detailed discussions on steel and aluminum tariffs, but significantly less on autos. So would you accept a deal that punts auto tariffs to the more extensive USMCA negotiations next year?
Canada's been very clear. We want all 232s addressed, all strategic sectors, which, for clarity, products. Well, you don't know that. You don't know that. I know what's being discussed. I'm part of those discussions, so Canada's position is as I just stated, and that's what we say in the room.
Question. Next question.
Irep Çakır with Turkish Voice of Canada. Thank you, Prime Minister. So your today's announcement is not only about the houses that's going to be built here. It's also about the people who's going to live in it and who's going to pay for it, right? So you mentioned how this city became the greatest with migration. I'll give you an educational and professional capacity of a specific cohort. Approximately 88% completed post-secondary education, 56% holding a bachelor's degree, 21% master's degree, 5% a PhD, and 6.7% a college diploma. Remarkable, right? So this group includes engineers, healthcare professionals, teachers, academics, IT specialists, experienced business and finance professionals. They are currently employed across Canada in key sectors, and I'm talking about 6,000 plus Turkish nationals whose temporary work permits, TS 2023, are expiring. A woman named Özlem Şahin is currently walking 500 kilometers from Toronto to Ottawa just to make sure to draw attention to their situation. Does your government know how many of those individuals are productively employed and care about the existence and continuation of this kind of new but also well-settled workforce that is also growing roots with their kids in Canada?
So thank you for that. And let me be clear that the woman's situation you referenced, the 6,000 others, or the other people in this situation, regardless of where they've come from to this country, who are working, who are settled. Perhaps they have a family here and the children in school. We took steps a few months ago to take a number of those individuals who'd been in those situations for a long period of time and would be on a pathway ultimately to greater permanent residency, to move them towards that pathway, which meant that they're able to stay. We continually look at this. We look at it, though, within the context of our discussions with the provinces and with la capacité d'accueil, the ability of Canada to, whether it's a city or to welcome them and provide the housing, the services, and the life that people deserve in Canada. So the system, we've taken back control of the system, got on top of the numbers. I can give you them all. I can almost have as long as your preamble to your question going through the numbers, but you've got people standing behind you. And now working towards getting at a more sustainable process from there. So we're working on it.
All right. Last question. Dernière question.
No, we need to.
I'll make it quick. Good afternoon, Prime Minister. David Lowell, CBC National News. We're now 2 weeks from President Trump's threatened 50% tariffs on Canadian goods. How likely is it that you'll be able to fend those tariffs off?
We're in the middle of negotiations, and the Minister LeBlanc, Janice Charette, who's our chief negotiator, are in Washington, as Ambassador Wiseman, obviously there in a series of meetings related to this. I'm very involved in this as well, and we'll see. But I'll refer back to my previous answer in terms of the scope of what Canada wants to move forward on, which is across all strategic sectors, including the specific question from Ms. Stone, I think, was about autos as well, and that very much at the core of what we're talking about. Thank you.
Dernière question, last question.
Hi, Prime Minister Carney. I want to ask about the spying charges in Belgium. Have you explained to the authorities in Belgium and NATO allies about how the government, proceeds and meets the security risk? That is my first question. And I think, do you think these security screening process for the international staffer need to be reformed? Can you explain?
Well, the first thing is, anytime you have a situation, you should take stock and take lessons from this. The second thing is, look, it's an active investigation, so I'm limited in what I can say. The only thing I would add cryptically is that the Canadian officials have been involved from the start. Draw your own conclusions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes our press conference. Ça conclut notre conférence de presse.
I didn't want to